So here we are, episode 4, and this is going to be tidying all the bits up. So today I'm going to show you all the parts, which is bits and pieces, getting the wheels on first of all, brakes, exhaust tightening up, finishing off carburetor parts, and at the end, seeing if she'll start. So that's the wheels done, and don't they look smart? FD Motorcycles did this bit inside for me. They do the centre painting and the graphics there. Do a lovely job. That isn't standard on Norton, but it's my Norton and that's how I want it. And with the back wheel in the end, I'll put this new plate on. So I'll polish the old one up, there won't be much left of it. I think it's only about 15 quid for a new one, so just splash out on that, eh? Very nice. So they're done and they're ready to go on. So here we are, balancing on a bit of block on the stand there. Hasn't fallen off yet, and it's about to have its wheels go back on. I'm going to get the front wheel back on first because now the forks are done. They're looking nice. I can get the front wheel on. I've bought a new disc for that to go on because it's a bit pitted. Only £80, that's not bad, is it? New disc on, front wheel on, front mudguard on, and we sort of got to get a bit of wood out there, so I'm a bit happier about the bike standing. I've still got to clean inside the back mudguard yet, so I'm going to aim to do that today. That means the back wheel can go in. So that's what I'm concentrating on this weekend, is getting both the wheels in and getting it rolling so I can move it along a bit, and a bit more cleaning on the engine, because while I can get to it, I might as well do it. And that wiring that I was talking about, I'm going to just get something around that, like some tape, some insulation tape to bond all that in nicely. So here we've got lovely new disc in here. Oh, it looks much better than the old one. So that'll go straight onto there. Look at that. That's it. Just got to tap that home a little bit, then that's ready to tighten up. So there's a disc bolted on. Dust cover with the big spacer this side, and there's a small dust cover with a small spacer to go the other side. I'm going to put the wheel in a second, grease up the spindle, otherwise it'll never come out again. Always put a bit of grease on there. And inside the caliper, I've just put a bar in there and just forced against it. There's no fluid in it at the moment, so I just pushed the brake pads each way to give me clearance, so when I put my wheel in, the disc will slide in there without fouling, without me swearing and that. And then the idea is once the wheel's in, this here is going to slide through and through to the other side here. Just line those up, because if it moves, that really helps to do that before I start. That's it. So now to get the wheel in. So the spindle's been pushed through. I tapped it in with a rubber mallet to get it going and just kept it central on here. That's gone right through to its tapped home. There was a mark on here so I could see as far as it will go, and it's pushed as far as it can to this dust cover. The pinch bolt is now tightened up. And on the other side, this nut here, I'm just going to tighten this up. Actually, I'm going to replace that at a later stage because it's a bit rusty. It's probably not very dear for a new nut, but little things like that just set the bike off a bit more. It's not going to be pristine, the bike, but it's going to be a rider, and I want it to look nice. So those little things are just sort of help it out a little bit more. I'm not a great one for cleaning bikes, but you have to now and again, I suppose. But there you go, so that's the front wheel in, and happy about the disc one in the gap. Lovely. It's all quite straightforward and easy to do. So mudguard slid into position, 2 bolts behind here on the top stay. Then the bottom stay I've just flattened down a bit and re-sprayed a black hammer white. Bottom securing bolts each side. I'm about to put the front stay into place from there down to there. That's the rear wheel fitted. quite a job to get the cush drive to hold in place, because I've greased it as well to try and hold the sprocket on. It was trying to pop out, but I managed to get it in there, wiggle about and get it done. So the next little job is the oil tank. The oil tank here, you can see is rubber mounted, and there's a rubber in there which is actually broken off. So you've got the oil tank floating about like that, and I have a new rubber here which I'm going to install, so I'll get that on next. There's the broken bit there, and what you need to do is take this one completely out, and then not the other side. I took it out. I can push the oil tank that way and across a bit, just enough to wedge this bracket slightly and get this in. But now that's all pulled back that way, and it's nice and snug again now. So it must have been rattling quite a bit, I would say, before, because this would have been touching the frame here. So now it's ready for the side case to go on. Right, so there's a side case. Now I didn't know what went here, so I asked somebody who was very helpful on the forum. I actually know, you think, oh bloody idiot, I should have known anyway. But this rubber goes in there. That's the part number if anybody needs one. And what it does, it goes in there. Then it's got to go behind here. That might be a bit tight. I might undo these to help myself, and then it'll bolt on at the top. I'll pop a little bit of grease around the edge of the rubber, I think, because that's going to help it go in anyway. So the old chain is knackered. Look, I can spin the pins in there. That should be solid. And you can see the chain down there. It's actually like a banana, all worn out. It's not worth skimping on things like this, because at the end of the day, if you go out for a ride and you enjoy yourself miles from home and that breaks, then you're going to have a bad day. So thrown it away. Bought a new one. Put it on here, and it's fitting nicely in the teeth already. The other one was a bit sloppy between the teeth, and they'll always come a bit longer than you need. So got this extractor. It's just a cheap one off eBay, less than a tenner I think, so that's done a good job just now. And when you get these links, often you can see it here, there's a half link, so I cut out what I don't need. Got a bit of slack on the chain there, and I'll tighten up on the adjusters here until I get back. Then if it doesn't reach its full point and it's still slack, then I'll take it back and take the half link out. But if you try and take the half link out first, then you realise you need it, you've got to try and get it back in, and it's not going to go back in as good as it was originally. So that's probably worth thinking about beforehand. Right, so chain tensioned nicely. You can see there's loads more movement in here yet before you've run out of adjustment. So that's with the half link on. I've adjusted up on here, locked the nut, and the gap here, I've done the same gap the other side. There's normally markers on here, but I can't see markers, so I've just done the same gap to keep the wheel central. Tightened up the other side, and you may have to adjust your back brake as well, because now I've got hardly any movement. I might just slacken it off a little bit. Checking the gearbox oil in here, and it's about 1/4 of an inch too low, maybe a bit lower. I can see the light on. There's a screw around the back here, which is right there. If you undo that, once the oil runs through, you're right level, so I'm told from previous bikes. So, but with a torch, I can actually see the base of the screw down there, so I'll just pour some in, top that up. And also the oil in for the engine. You can see there, new oil, and that's up to the between mid and low level. So that's done. Little bits can make a big difference. If you look at this here, somebody painted over it with a brush. I've taken it apart, wire-walled the back plate, just cleaned the copper washers and resprayed the heads and put them in. It so much nicer. again with the coil, just give this a little bit of a polish because it was a bit like rough and that. And then silver on there, resprayed the silver. Put new reflectors on, and then the tank will come down across there and cover a lot of that, so that will look better on there. The little bits make a big difference on the bike, so I know you can keep on forever, but it does make a big difference, as I say. New kickstart rubbers, bit of polishing on the end here. Barrels, I'm going to give them a bit of a clean and just go over it with some heat resisting black and just blow that in a bit just to tidy all that in. Down here the frame, you can see it looks quite nice. It was down to bare metal in places, and I flattened it down, masked it up and just blew it in with some Hammerite gloss black spray paint, and that looks lovely down here. You won't see much of it, but it all helps, the bits and pieces. Like this bit here, you can see how rough this is. I'm going to flatten that down and blow that in shortly just to tidy that up. So I've blotted a bit of paint on that, which certainly is smart on that little area up. Just takes your eyes off of it. So you can see a little bit here, these are cleaned up now, equal. Just sprayed that as well. Got a little bit more cleaner doing those fins there. You can see the bowl of the carbs off because I'm working on the carbs. I've given a coat of black heat resisting stove paint to the bottom there on the barrel, make it look nice. These have been heat resisting silver sprayed onto there and just nipped up. There's copper washer in there, as I've just shown a photograph, and yeah, they certainly look better. That's the downpipe in place ready. The next thing is to get onto the exhaust pipe. At this stage everything's coming up so nice on it that little things are starting to notice, like the swing arm has been hand painted at some stage and it's looking a bit tired, and the same with the footrest mount hanger, which you can see exhaust as well, or the silencer muffler. So I'll whip this off, sandblast that'll work, and spray that black. Parts of the frame are done, and then I'll be tackling the bit here and show you running through that, how we make that look much smarter than what it is now. So I'm just putting in the studs for the tank fixings. Each model seems to be quite different. I've looked at several different types, and this is definitely the way this goes. There's 4 studs, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and there's then rubber, where are we, rubbers that go over that. So we've got some rubbers going over, that'll sit onto the frame, and then we'll tighten that up after. I've decided to use a very small brush in the end. That's the tip of it, so I just follow around the lines. I tend to hold my breath a bit when I'm going round. I get myself in a good position, sit on the chair and rest the base of the seat down here on the floor, this up in my lap, or up here on the bench, and do some parts of it. But you can see it follows the grain once it starts to sink in the paint, which looks nice. Another job out of the way. So this is what I'm saying about the bike. It's a little bit patchy on the paintwork, and I want to sharpen all this up just up to this sort of stage here. The back here, just clean up. You don't really see much of that, and it will be getting adjusted, used. I think just this piece here, if I get that cleaned up, and what I tend to do is get a bit of wet and dry and over it dry, and get the imperfections out, and get it smooth, and the little rust blemishes off. You see already it's starting to come up like that. There we go. So I'm just going to carry on and get that finished first. So this is what I call my cheats method. So I did here, it's just cosmetically make it look a bit more pleasing, blinging the bike up a little bit. You see I've flattened a little bit back here. Just spray a little bit over that nut, just to blend things in so you're not seeing rusty bits. But this is now smoothed down, and I've cleaned it with a bit of white spirit to get any bits and pieces off and any crud. Now we're going to mask it up and paint it with Hammerite smooth spray paint. The reason I use that is because it gives a good finish. It's quite hardy, and it's Hammerite designed to go on rust. So if it's slightly rusty, it's sort of a bit of a protector anyway. But it isn't sort of the bike being blinged up. If I wanted a proper job, I'd have taken the whole thing apart, resprayed it all professionally, but then you're only going to scratch half the stuff when you put it back. So this way it's just sort of like little bits you can see, they're getting sprayed. Bits you can't see, like in here, it don't really matter, but what I will rub that down and probably just put a bit of paint with a brush on it just to protect it a bit longer. Right, here goes. See straight away, even with that little thin coat on, you can see a bit of a difference there. And again on this bit here, big difference, just a little tiny blip, just covering those surfaces over. So that's one thin coat. I'll give it a few minutes and give it another coat. All right, second coat. That's the third coat on now. So once that's dry, let's give it a little bit of a polish up. A couple of little pimples in there, but nothing to worry about, but it looks a lot smarter. What I've just discovered, I put my fingers in the back of the carbs and pulled the slide up, and this needle this side is fine, but the needle the other side, there's only a tiny bit poking down, so I presume the clip has broken off the top or something. So I'll just take the tank back off, and now I'm going to remove the top like this, but the other side, take the slide out and have a little look at it. Yeah, as suspected, there's a needle, look, poking right up here, jammed in actually. I can see the clip down the bottom, which is a bit skew with, so I'm going to take that out and have a little investigation into why that's gone. I should imagine someone's forced it down into the chamber and pushed against the needle too hard, and it's just popped it off the clip. That's better. Put the needle back in, it just wasn't in the clip properly, so I never put it in right. So now I've throttles up and down. So I put my finger in the back of both of those, both the slides go up and down. I'll feel the needles are good, and I've also put the chokes up and down so you can feel them there. So all good to go. Right, I've just tickered up both carburetors, turn the fuel back off, full choke, ignition on, see if we get anything. So by the surprised look on my face, you could see I was in a happy place. I was quite shocked that it started so quick because I didn't put much effort into it. As you can see, it just fired straight into life. It sounded really good. I had to put the choke on to keep it running on both cylinders. So on the left-hand cylinder, there's a bit of a problem there. So I'm gonna have to take the carburetor apart and have a look at that. But I think the next episode, hopefully we should be riding it and taking the camera out on the road with the bike and doing a few shots there of the bike in nice static scenery areas and some filming of her riding. Great times ahead.